A little bit of background, and here is the deal. I'm meeting Tristan Ward at Heffron Park. We've just done a little warm-up lap. Me on the S5 and him on his old S5, which is a team issue for Bennelong-SwissWellness, the team that he's been racing for in 2018. And now we're going to do the switcheroo. He's on Shimano, this is SRAM. Otherwise, it's more or less an updated version of a bike that was originally released about 5 years ago. And then at the end of it all, he's going to give us some feedback and we can compare notes. Welcome to Ride Media.
Thank you.
Just a little bit of background on Tristan Ward, please.
I started in mountain biking for the Talk team, and then did a bit of NRS and liked it, a bit more road, and luckily this year got a chance with Bennelong, which was formerly SwissWellness, and I think it's all come together for a pretty good year. Luckily to have the opportunity and the support from my teammates, and I personally managed to get up for 2 NRS tours, and other than that, we were quite dominant throughout the year, only losing the 1 tour, and everything's going really well.
We might have a little sit down with Tristan afterwards and find out about his cycling life. He comes from mountain biking, he's turned into a roadie, and now he's doing both. But for the moment, this is a conversation about a bike, and we'll just do the handover and see what he thinks.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Alright, you've been around the park. Tell me about it, Tristan. What do you think?
It's very different, a lot different to my bike. I had to double check and assess my thoughts, but yeah, no, it's very different.
Does it feel fast to you?
Yes, so definitely first impressions are quick. It doesn't pedal itself, it doesn't accelerate like it's a motorbike, but it maintains speed really nicely. If you like a breakaway, I could recommend this bike. I like it.
The first few moments on a bike always tell you a lot about the characteristics. What was the thing that stood out the most to you?
Probably actually aesthetics. I like the way it looks, to be honest. I really like it.
And then once you step on, what are you noticing?
The first thing I noticed was how well it maintains its speed. I'm a bit tired and not going too fast today, but yeah, once I got up around that 30-35 k's an hour, it just plodded along really nice.
You're used to Cervélo.
Yep.
And I've ridden Cervélo many iterations over the years. This one feels, to me, like they've really hit the mark.
Yeah, well, like we said before, they've had 5 years of the old one, 5 years of, I guess, R&D. I reckon this is probably about 5 years worth of test development, R&D, and getting it right.
You win a sprint or 2?
Yeah.
Did you sort of get out of the saddle and give it a nudge? And
yeah.
Did you feel much flex?
No flex at all. She's rock solid. Quite responsive. As we said before, the cockpit's a little bit different to mine, so that's just an aesthetics thing. But yeah, on the drops, the handlebars for stock handlebars felt really nice. I would have no problems running them. Pretty ergonomic and fast. Yeah, I stepped on it down the straight, and I reckon I could win a Heffron on it. I could. I reckon, yeah, stock bike. I reckon you could ride it from the bike shop to here and get around and have a great afternoon. So I was going to mention probably the biggest improvement that I feel it has over my older S5 or current or just older is it felt amazingly planted going through the corners. The through axle would have a bit to do with that, and obviously I don't know the engineering of the bike, but the fork and front wheel, it all felt like it was going where I pointed it. I actually had to change my steering style a little bit. So yeah, she's very, very stiff and responsive, and you could haul ass on this.
When it comes to road bike reviews, it's not as fun as mountain biking because you have to pick up tiny little differences.
Yeah.
And with mountain biking you can have different wheel size and different everything. But
on mountain biking you just say cool words like skid and grind. And, yeah, no, it is a bit different. But yeah, look, pretty sweet bike, and I'd recommend it. yeah, like I guess the key things I picked up was how stiff it was in the front end, especially on like entering and then holding that speed through the corner. It was rock solid, and it held it real nice. And then on exit, like you didn't have to punch as much because it was maintaining that speed really nicely. So I really think there is probably something to do, obviously, with this unique bar and stem combo that they have. I reckon it's faster. I reckon it is.
Yeah. I had a little bit of toe overlap, whereas on my other 54 centimetre frame I don't get any toe overlap. Do you notice it being a little bit shorter at the front than your bike?
Yeah, so I noticed that obviously 54, 56, my head was in a different place, like I was looking over the front axle, where I don't on my bike. But I can't say, let's have a look, the toe overlap. I wouldn't say that's any better or worse than any other bike. I reckon that's normal. That's not much. Yeah. I wouldn't call that an issue at all.
No.
Especially for a bike that's technically smaller, like too small for me.
Yeah. The first few weeks I spent on it, I started thinking, why would you buy a time trial bike and a road bike? What's the difference between your road bike and the time trial bike in terms of position?
That's a pretty good question. I did state champs on the P3 3 or 4 months ago, which was actually Sean Lake's bike, and that was dialed for him. Luckily we're pretty similar. Obviously Lakey is one of the best time trialers in the country, so a bit like chalk and cheese comparing me to him. My position was worse than his, obviously, and I put out less power and I went slower, but I just tried to, it actually wasn't too bad. There's I think a huge difference between a TT setup and a triathlon setup, and sometimes I don't think people realise that. On the TT bike it's a lot more aggressive, especially road TTs. So I think just a little bit lower in the front end, I guess the TT bike was to my road bike. But then my road bike I guess is quite aggressive. I don't have a very high seat height and there's still quite a drop.
Just a quick word on SRAM if you could. It's, you know, I know you're a Shimano sponsored athlete, but just the feel of the hoods, I guess that's the one thing that people are interested in. Right,
so coming straight from the Dura-Ace to the E-Tap hoods, I can tell you that they're thicker and taller. Obviously they change gears differently with the, you know, almost like an F1 style paddle shifter up and down. I personally, I guess obviously because I've ridden Shimano all year, I'm used to a thinner, smaller hood, but yeah, felt great, fine.
Okay. Hey, thanks for taking some time on a Monday morning to ride a nice new bike.
No worries, thank you.
So as one does when one gets handed a $14,000 bike, you give it to someone else and see what they think of it.
Thank you.